Hey, it's Jim Prevost with Embrace the Shake, and I have two guests tonight. You're familiar with Darryl, but we're going to have Bob introduce himself in a minute. But go ahead, Darryl, lead us off.
I'm Darryl Crawford. Been a Parkinson's patient for about 7 years. About 3 years before that, uh, I was having symptoms that were misdiagnosed as depression. And since I've been diagnosed, I've gotten involved with Embrace the Shake here this past year, and it's making a big difference in my symptoms.
All right, Bob Bott's on tonight. You remember the Bull, New Jersey? What, Exit 91?
Exit 91.
Exit 91's on tonight. Hey, Tucker Hammer. Penny's on board. Hey, Penny. Hope Gary's doing better. Alex is with us again tonight.
Hey, Alex.
Alex is with us every week, Bob.
Hey, Penny and Gary.
Yeah, good to see everybody. Look at, they're all jumping on. Molly Mutt and Fudge. Molly and I work together. And her daughter is Maddie that we're raising the money for the dog.
Right.
I'll go over that in a little bit. Okay. There's this lady, Ben Hendrick Crawford. Y'all know her?
Beth Hendricks Crawford.
Yeah,
that's my wife.
I'm going to the optometrist tomorrow. All right. All right, Bob, introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Bobby Sayer. I'm a neighbor of Darryl's, and I retired last year in December and was looking for kind of something to do. And I've met Darryl, and in fact, I've known him for about 6 years. We moved here about 6 years ago, and I actually knew his parents a lot better than I knew Darryl to begin with. We go to church with his parents.
And you guys just started hanging out together?
Yeah, we actually started going out to lunch together about once a month with some other folks in the neighborhood, and I kind of noticed that Darryl had his tremors, and on several occasions that we had been out to eat, and then we went out one time and he wasn't shaking at all, and I asked him about it, and he told me that he had started going to your boxing class and that you were stretching him out after the class, and it was really doing wonders for his tremors. So I asked Darryl if you could show me how to do it, and would you be willing to show me how to do it? That way I could possibly help him during off times when he wasn't seeing you. So that's kind of the way this whole thing started. Well, then I got to go into your boxing class and really enjoying it, and met a lot of real good people.
We got a great crowd of folks. You're not picking up any tremors hanging out with us, right?
No.
Not
yet.
Not yet. Well, we have associational Parkinson's. Okay.
Sympathy Parkinson's.
Sympathy Parkinson's. And then you have to learn the magic handshake, and the secret words like what's shaking and then all that other stuff. Man, we're already getting a pile of folks coming on tonight. Let's see if there's any of our regulars. Addie Rudisell. Addie was one of my students, great student athletic trainer. Bobby King, my brother-in-law. Gerald Jennings, senior, played football at Shelby High School. Great athlete, great young man. Britta Harrell was one of the custodians for me at Shelby High School. Britta was also one of my martial arts students. So it's great to see everybody on. If we miss anybody tonight, we apologize. Glenn DeGuffey, good to see you. Maddie Rose. Sorry, I'm so loud I can't hear myself. Maddie's on. I hope you're feeling better, Maddie. We've been praying for you and thinking about you. Brother Kayvon Hanna, one of my fraternity brothers. Penny's there. What's she saying? We love the boxing class. Yes, she does.
I agree.
Yeah. That was West Virginia. Look at he's on guard already.
Guard.
All right. Yeah, and you're not shaking bad tonight.
Not too bad.
Good. You medicated?
Actually not.
You're not that medicated?
Not that medicated. We had boxing class last night, and I'm not shaking as much.
Sorry, I'm laughing. You guys are funny. Okay, I want to thank some of our folks that have done a lot of things for us out of the kindness of their heart. I want to thank Howard and Lisa Young. They are of Whitebeard Canine. Howard and Lisa also work with our law enforcement community canines at Cleveland County Sheriff's Department, Shelby City Police Department, and also any neighboring agencies that come down for specialized canine training. Howard has also, and Lisa have also been very instrumental in being involved with Moose's development, going from the shelter to helper, so to speak. Like to also thank Eric Ennis, my Ranger brother. He's an Army Ranger, canine, worked with the quiet community, so to speak, across the fence guys. He and John Devine started the Rescue 22 Foundation, which places canines with veterans with service-connected disabilities or disabilities that come later on when you separate the service. I want everybody just straighten out a few things here. Rescue 22 does not provide service dogs just for PTSD, which is now called PTS. They also provide for amputees, spinal cord injuries. Of course, we did say PTS, visual, hearing, and mobility. So they're really a wide spectrum canine provider at no cost to the veteran. And then Angela Connor, who coordinates all of that on, I believe, all over the United States. So she's very busy, and let's keep Angela in our prayers. She has a family member that is battling cancer, and we always think about what Angela does for us. Dee Hout down at Magic City Canine in Miami, Florida, also with Applause Your Paws. She was instrumental in working with Moose on providing boarding and fundamental training as well. Green River Botanicals on Lafayette Street in Shelby, North Carolina, provides CBD. They are wonderful people and really fit the use of CBD for the folks with neurological issues, and they really know their stuff. And I'm so impressed with their professionalism. They're veteran owned, and the gentleman that owns that company is a disabled Marine. So Semper Fi to him. And then also all the folks, and there are so many that have donated to our GoFundMe campaign that we have for Maddie Rose to bring Biggie home. And we were at about $3,590 out of $5,000. And if we hit the $4,000 mark, we have somebody that has promised us a $1,000 gift.
That's great.
To cap it off.
Wonderful.
And this person does not want their name mentioned. But I will tell you this, they are a disabled veteran. So giving back, paying it forward, so to speak. So that's what's going on in our world, and we're going to start our interview. Our focus tonight is talk about Bob's journey with Parkinson's, not necessarily because he doesn't have Parkinson. He might get sympathetic Parkinson's. After I leave tonight, Darryl and Bobby are going to practice shaking together. Bobby's doing really well with his shuffling technique. We're real proud, and then we're going to have one of our other folks in our support group work on the drooping head. And once we get him there,
I got the drooping head work.
You got that?
I got the drooping head work.
I think he's probably ready for at least an embroidered shirt or something.
Yeah.
You know, no LSVT Biggie program. Ooh, I didn't say that, did I? But anyway, moving forward. Also, I want one other disclaimer, so to speak. The boxing program that we do for our boxing group is not that of Rock Steady Boxing. They have a wonderful program. They are endorsed by the Parkinson's Association, and not only at the national level, but at states. We are not in competition with them. They have a program in many communities throughout the United States. We're just the Shelby Parky Boxers, and we get together, have wonderful fellowship time. We hit the bag, we stretch, and it just does what we need. And we also work on self-defense stuff.
Well, you also work on balance a lot too.
Balance,
And
okay.
that's been one of the big things that I've seen I can tell it's helped several people at the class.
Right.
Is knowing that their balance is better because of what they're learning.
Right. And I think what's really nice is we all share how we're feeling when we're there and what we've done that week, and then maybe some helpful hints from one person to the other.
But I think too, involving the caregivers that's been key. My wife goes and Bobby goes, and they are both learning as I'm learning, and
right.
I think that's real key, is having those caregivers involved.
Right. And we got Penny and Marianne and Chuck and our other person, our two other folks that come. It's just like you said, it's wonderful to have caregivers there. It gives them a break too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Gives them a break. All right. So, Bobby, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was in the textile apparel business for 42 years and finally retired. During that time, I started out as a EMT and a volunteer fire department member, and we were living in right outside of Fairmont, North Carolina at the time. So we were in a volunteer fire department. We had 2 ambulances that we ran out of our fire department, and we went on a drive to get all of our firemen certified as EMTs. And out of 20, the first time we got 5 certified.
Right.
And I mean, that's really great numbers, because a lot of times it's 1 out of 20. So, but then we ended up 5 more after that. So we were real proud to have 10 fire people certified as EMTs.
So you kind of had some support the community and the caregiver background all your life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And then how did you and Darryl meet again?
Well, I mean, like I said, I knew his parents.
Right.
And I had seen Darryl several times. We had gone to a couple of different functions together. And I had admired Darryl's art. Darryl is a fantastic photographer.
Yes, he is.
And he knows, not only is a photographer, he's an outstanding Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts Christian messages on with his pictures, and he makes a calendar.
Right.
And to me, it's a phenomenal thing that he's putting together.
We're lucky to have 2 of those in the house. And, I don't know if you know this or not, but, you know what tomorrow is, don't you? Do you remember? From your calendar? National Ditch Your New Year's Resolutions Day. Courtesy of Darryl's calendar.
Yes, I'm already ahead on that.
You already had that. And then I forgot what Saturday was, but I'm really excited about Sunday because it's National Popcorn Day.
I got a lot of food holidays on there.
So I'm going to be eating some popcorn. It's one of the few things I can't choke on either. So anyway, so you met Darryl and you guys started having lunch together.
Yeah.
And then you noticed the tremor in hands.
Right.
Did you notice anything else? It's not like, this is Darryl, your show and tell guy, but did you notice anything else and like put it together with Parkinson's, or did you have to, did Darryl give you the cue and let you know?
Well, I knew he had Parkinson's for quite a while, from knowing his mom and dad. Okay, and I'd been around, their house enough to know kind of what Darryl shaped, but Darryl will tell you, he'll be the first to tell you that he's taken a step down in levels since I've met him. So I've seen some progression in that. But then when I saw what the boxing did for him, I got very interested in trying to figure out if, since I now had some free time, was there a way I could help?
Right.
And so that's kind of the way we got involved in it. And as you know, I had asked you a couple of times, is there things that we can do for other issues that he's having, like what he calls the frozen feet, where his feet are locked on the floor and he can't get them to move. Which
are different than the floppy feet, right?
Yes.
and
I got parky feet.
You got parky feet. Darryl, do you mind explaining what the frozen feet are? You know, some people may think, well, your feet actually get cold.
Yeah, we need another term for that because when you say your feet are freezing, people think, well, you got bad circulation or whatever. And that's not what it's happening. What's happening is your feet feel like they're gorilla glued to the floor, and you can't move in tight spaces or make turns. Or a lot of times you'll be walking and just come to a stop, trying to get up out of a chair. You can't move your feet. Just like, and as as the disease progresses, it gets worse and worse. And there's things you can do like count or sing or try to get some kind of rhythm going, sh- uh, shifting your weight back and forth, things like that to get you going. But it's really, of all the things that I talk to Parkinson's patients about, it's really the most um, number one issue that comes up. But there's not a lot of research on it, and there's not a lot of uh, treatment options for it. So it's really helped to have Bobby can help me sometimes get my legs moving, and you, Jim, too, help me get my legs moving. And last night in boxing, we were getting our feet up off the ground, and I was walking better by the time I got out of there. So it's been real helpful.
We used a stick to do that with last night.
Yeah, my wife was giving me love taps with the stick.
You know, we were doing the balance thing where on one foot,
Right.
and of course with Darryl, you know, somebody had to hold on, you know, but he finally got where he could get each one of his feet off the ground, you know, for a period of time, and it took a lot of work on his part.
How did okay? How did or how did you? It'll come to me in a minute. What did you see the able-bodied caregivers have difficulty with that one foot balance with a pole?
Some, yes.
Yeah. So just to think about, you have frozen feet and they're stuck to the floor, and you're trying to convince them to come up. And one strategy. Here we go.
It's that time again.
It's that time for the Parky yawns. One of the strategies we learned is to press the foot into the floor and then pick it up. Feed forward, feed back. You respond well to that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then we saw when we did that with the stick last night, the able bodies, we have to give them a label so they can feel like part of a group. You know? They had balance one foot issues as well. And then toe tapping. We did some coordination drills last night, didn't we? Tell them about those coordination drills, Bobby.
Oh man, where we were patting our feet and raising our arms, and then patting one foot and raising one arm. And the able bodies were not as good as the Parkies.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, that concludes the interview for the evening. But it's really nice to see, don't you think? I mean, the discoordination, not the uncoordination,
right,
that you experience as able-bodied. Did it kind of help you appreciate with what
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, the other thing I want to bring up about you guys' relationship is one thing that I have seen build is both of you are more in tune with each other as far as like, you know, I have that leash with Moose that's kind of stiff and it's made out of 550 cord, and we communicate there. You're almost anticipating when Darryl's tipping.
Yeah.
And when Darryl's with you and we're doing exercises, it's Darryl's more risky. Like, I know you're going to be there if I start to go. Do you feel more confident when you have Bobby with you, and Beth with you?
Well, yeah, because I have a tendency to fall backwards. And so I am more willing to take the chances. I know Bobby's back there to catch me, or Beth's also back there. That really really helps in having the confidence to make the move. And he's had to catch me a few times. So it's sort of like that drill, where you just fall back and expect somebody to be there. That's the way it's working with Bobby and Beth.
So if what we're doing right now, a lot of balance work, a lot of disc coordination work, and Bobby, if you would you explain your understanding between disc coordination and uncoordinated? If you can remember that from last night.
Well, I'm not sure I remember it all, but the disc coordination is not following a standard pattern,
Right.
like rotation pattern, where uncoordinated is not being able to do something or not being able to coordinate doing it.
Right.
So it's totally different.
It's like the first time we learned to run from walking, we're uncoordinated. But if we have an injury or neuromuscular something, we already know how to run, so we try. Now it's dysfunctional. So we rob the disc from dysfunctional and make it disc coordination. And your layman's definition was perfect. You know the sequence, you just can't follow it, so it's discoordinated. Okay, to where I didn't know it, so I don't have an understanding of it. Okay, and I also see that you guys are kind of picking up also on the feed forward, feed back, to where like when Darryl's feet get stuck, you remind push to the floor so you can feel the floor again. And I know the opposing movement is the left. So feed forward, feed back. So that's great.
Well, talk about what we got to when we were doing the balance last night when we were going 1 foot off the ground. I could lean Darryl over far enough that he could get his foot up, but then I could start moving him back and he could keep it up.
Okay.
So that was, to me, really, he was really focusing on how to keep that foot up. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was really a positive thing for him.
How's coming to Parkinson's boxing, Embrace the Shake boxing? How's that impressed you, or what has gone through your heads as far as thoughts or ideas, or what we're going through, or what do you see? Because we have every level there.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a true one, do we? Level 1, 2. No.
We've got two on up.
Right, 2 on up. And you like the new scale that you introduced? You remember the scale that you sent me?
Oh, I sent you a scale to look at. I haven't introduced it yet.
Okay. I think we'll do that next time around. We're together. Might talk about it when we interview again.
Okay.
Because I think it's got a lot more motor. I think it's tying a lot more motor, a lot more funny, weird symptoms in. Okay. Yeah. So without names, of course, Bobby, what was your first impressions walking in, seeing all of us together? And I know you had experience working with Darryl and being around his Parkinson's. But what else did you see? How did it make you feel? It shocked Bull, didn't it, Bob? Didn't it, Darryl?
Yes, it did.
It shocked Bull. But go ahead, Bob.
Well, it was kind of amazing to me to see all the different levels that you have there. And a lot of people deal with it in different ways. You can tell that you have some people there that work on their coordination and balance a tremendous amount. You've got one lady there that I think is just amazing for how much she does.
Right.
And especially from what her initial diagnosis was with having some severe leg problems and then moving forward, I thought that was wonderful.
Right.
And you can tell how motivated she is, to stay limber, to stay moving, and to remain active. And I think you've got some people that remain a lot more active than others, of course, and some have more disability or different abilities than others. But each one has a very unique story, and you can tell they've each got very unique caregivers and how they coordinate with their caregivers.
And that's a good point to bring up is that Beth and Mary Ann and Penny, okay, are very opposite personalities,
Absolutely.
but have very similar caregiving styles. Would you agree, Darryl?
I would agree, and they seem to work off each other well.
Yes, yes, yes. And have that kinship that they need separate of us.
Right.
Because we take up so much of their time, so to speak, and they're the ones that are forgotten about, the caregivers. And one thing, excuse me, that I think is positive for the caregivers now that they're involved in the process of rehab as a participant. How's that helped you understand what goes on with Parkinson's? How's that helped you?
Well, it certainly showed me that there's different levels. It also shows me that there's different caretaking techniques. There's different methods of like the stretching and that type thing. That I think it helps some people a lot more than it does others. But some, for instance, when Darryl's shakes are bad, just a little bit of stretching I know how to do for him, will make it calm off.
Right.
And there's certain just rotations of his hand that you can do that'll make the tremor stop, and he'll put his hand down and it'll stay there. So but I've seen different caregivers doing different things, and it's really amazing to me.
A lot of healing touch going on.
Yeah.
A lot of healing touch.
Well, one thing too, with having the extra or the different stages, people can see. I hope it can be very frustrating when you change levels, and I hope that being able to be around people who are different levels, higher levels, maybe can see the drive that we have at higher levels, and not be as frustrating at the lower level, because you have plateaus where you think, okay, I got this covered, and then you drop a level, and then it can be very frustrating. But to see other people who are there, who are working hard, it gives me a lot of motivation to watch other people with the disease. Gives it camaraderie.
Yeah.
That's been very important to me.
Another thing is just as simple as the weather changing, how much it affects.
All right, so now you've seen it.
Oh,
you've
absolutely.
seen it firsthand, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, do you mind sharing that?
I mean, when the weather turned cold, people were having more difficulty. They were hurting more. They were having more difficulty, slower movement, that type of thing. But rain does the exact same thing to them.
Right.
And when it's cold and raining, it's really bad.
Did you see a change in the mood as well?
Oh yeah.
And I'll speak to that. We talk a lot about Parkinson's psychology, don't we?
Yeah.
Always. And the thing is, we're not brittle, but remember we have a neurophysiological, neurochemical event going on in our brain that's not working well, and we're faced with a lot of things that people don't realize we're faced with, and that the weather causes us more pain, more difficulty moving. It's harder to get up in the morning. It's harder to push yourself. It changes our mood, and you have seen that.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. And you were we had about 3 weeks of really rainy weather and everything. Did you see the ability for us to think clearly? When we think clearly, it just doesn't get out. Help me with this, Darryl. Did you see difficulty of us trying to put things together? with the weather as far as thoughts and ideas?
Well, it
and
seems like to
express?
me everything slows down some because of the weather. I mean, the vocabulary, the response time. I think everything changes some, and not necessarily for the good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty dramatic effect.
Becky says you're right about it. That's why I don't like cold weather anymore. And as everybody knows, Becky does have Parkinson's, and Penny is one of the caregivers that's with us. Everyone there is an inspiration to the others. Good point. Good point. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, and I always ask all the folks I interview, how has being exposed or being around our group of folks and more folks with Parkinson's, because we're trying to draw a lot of attentions to that. How's that changed you? How's that influenced you? How's it made you maybe a better person? And I'm sure you were a great guy. But what has that done for you as a whole?
Well, it's made me more aware and more conscious of people with disabilities of different kinds, or with illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in a crowd, you can just about pick people out that
Yeah.
And so it's made me more aware of surroundings, and certainly wondering. You always wonder what you can do to help.
Do you think the general public is well, this is going to be a political question. Do you think the general public is uncomfortable with folks like us?
I don't know whether it's uncomfortable or uneducated about it. I think it's, in a lot of cases, if they had more education about it or understood it better, I think they would be more accepting.
Can you now pick a parkie out of the crowd?
Most of the time, yes.
Even if they're in early stages?
It all depends on how long you get to observe them.
Right.
If I observe them long enough, I can pick them out.
And what do you pick up? I mean, what's some of your identifying signs other than the shake?
Yeah,
because 40% of us don't have it.
The shuffle. Everybody in your class has somewhat of a shuffle.
Right.
It's just one of those things.
You'll have one in 3 weeks, and then you can participate in the best shuffle competition.
I've had 2 ankle surgeries replacing ligaments, so I shuffle anyway.
All right, so you bring your own form of shuffle. We'll have to learn his form of shuffle.
Well, there's one thing too I wanted to point out is, and Bobby, I don't know if he's doing this just as a reflex or because he's observed the way that I am, but when people try to help you, they want to get in front of you and try to help you. And it's really better to get behind you and help.
Right.
And so Bobby, he tends to come in around behind me rather than coming in front of me, because I get my tremors will pick up if somebody's coming in front of me, and he comes in behind me, and that's been a big difference.
You get that from your EMT training?
That, and we've just had a neighbor across the street who was in his 90s, and he had several falls.
I see.
And in order to help him get up and down, if his caregiver, he had full-time caregiving, if they couldn't get him up, I could go over and help.
Right.
And I could handle him better from the side and back.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if I had the belt on him, I could handle him with belt. And this gentleman was well over 6 foot tall and well over 200 pounds. So
big man.
He's a big man. So I just kind of learned that was my best way of handling.
And that really has helped me. Again, it goes with the confidence thing. Rather than losing my confidence, I gain confidence because I know he's back here.
How's boxing helped you? How's boxing and balance helped you?
Well, I think the balance
part of it, reaching,
and particularly learning, the foot movement and keeping my feet spread apart more has certainly helped my balance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm trying to help someone Darryl size, you really have to have good balance to do that.
Right.
And I found that the foot placement and things in the boxing steps that you're showing helped me with doing that as well.
Do you feel that there's a gain? There's a gain also in confidence that we can defend ourselves
Oh, absolutely.
because we are the target population.
Yeah.
Getting your hands up and there you go. Being able to throw a punch and to grab and hold and not be afraid to mix it up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Versus having a unprotected posture.
Well, there's a lot of things that you taught us in the, hitting down and, breaking the collarbone and that type thing.
Right.
That, I picked up a lot in the class
Right.
on those type things.
You can't punch with the fist, you can punch with the palm.
Right.
And down strike. And then we can do power punch and stop fisting, and which is a little bit is different than what Rock Steady does. We haven't got into the activities of daily living yet, like knobs and cords yet. That's coming down. But and I'm going to say this as well. I'm kind of really taking my time with this because we have nothing but time, but we try to keep it at a level where everybody benefits, able-bodied and a different ability-bodied like ourselves. Darryl, you've been around me. How long have we been around each other now?
Since July.
Since July. What how have you seen me change?
I've seen your shuffle pick up. You have the Parky mumble.
Which you understand.
But I understand that because I speak Parky.
Okay.
Your head is a little bit coming forward a little bit. So I've seen some physical changes in you, but I have also seen. I think it's motivated you to come to class when you're not feeling good. You'll still come to class and teach us something new that night. And I know it's tough on you, but that's inspirational and motivational for me. If I don't feel like I want to come that night, I think about Jim's been dealing with this for 3 years, and he's progressing like the rest of us, and so it's you just give me motivation to keep going.
And then I received the same thing, when I don't feel like going and here I'm having to ramp up, get high, so to speak, that we're not ashamed to say that we doubled up on our med to get rolling. Then I know, because I know Darryl's progressing and Gary's progressing and Becky's progressing, and we're all progressing at different speeds and levels, and they're coming. I can't miss out. I'm the guy with the key. But the point is, I think what Darryl said, he gets motivation from me. I get motivation from him. I get motivation from you. I get motivation from Beth. I get motivation from Mary. That's what I think's got us really tight.
Yeah.
And then when other folks that are in our group don't come, we're always checking on them.
Yeah.
We're always checking on them. And we don't mind starting a little late if somebody wants to talk, or if somebody's coming late, we'll wait for them. We won't just start and all right, you just jump in here. We try to hold back as much as we can. So I think we got a really good thing going. Let's see what we got here. Yoga. Tai Chi and yoga.
Tai Chi.
We're going to have to add a little Tai Chi. Qigong, Tai Chi. Okay? All right. And I can have Brian come in and teach us the snake and dragon of Kung Fu, which is has elements of Tai Chi in it, but for a defense model. All righty. So we've had a wonderful interview this evening, I think. Okay. Bobby, give us your take-home message about Parkinson's. What have you learned being around folks with it? What would you like the general public to know? What would you just like to say about it?
Well, it's kind of like with Darryl. I mean, Darryl is one of the most educated and one of the sharpest people I've ever met. And I've learned a tremendous amount from you in just a very short period of time. You know, there's nothing standoffish about Parkinson's people. Yeah, they're regular people, but they're some of the ones I've met so far are some of the smartest people that I've ever met. You know, and of course you've got two doctors in your group, and you've got other people, and they're the nicest people I've ever met. So I have really enjoyed meeting everyone and meeting all their caregivers. I relate to all their caregivers. My mother and my grandmother both had Alzheimer's. My grandmother lived with it for 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's unheard of.
I'm very familiar
That is unheard of.
with being around,
Yeah.
you know, people with different disorders. And,
Wow.
You know, a caregiver for an Alzheimer's person has just as much challenge as a caregiver for.
And we all know somebody has Alzheimer's
Absolutely.
that's close to us.
Yeah.
And that world is starting to shut down a little bit, as you can see. And we welcome folks to the boxing class that have Alzheimer's. We agreed, right? All neurological disorders are welcome to come.
There's a lot of commonality amongst the challenges that we all face.
Yeah. You see some similarities between Parkinson's and Alzheimer's?
I think so. The just the effects on the body and effects on the mind, I think, are very similar. I think it's also goes back to that thing where they said, if you've seen one Parkinson's patient, you've seen one Parkinson's patient. I think that the same thing applies with the Alzheimer's. Each case is individual, and they're no respecter of persons. I think.
Well, both diseases have different stages, too, very different stages, too. So,
And you know, there's a mental component with Parkinson's, and there's a motor component with Alzheimer's.
Right.
So we have a crossover sharing, and there's a speech component with both. There's a swallowing component with both. And then as time goes on, there's a posture component with both. So I think that's odd that they're so different chemically and so similar in crossover effect. So that's a great observation on Darryl's part that we have still a lot to share with that. As always, I want to say thank you to everybody that's come on tonight. Bobby, thanks for hosting us in your Embrace the Shake studios.
Well, sorry about the yellow room, people. It's really not yellow, but there's nothing I can do about that.
Well, we look good. Actually, we're all jaundiced. We're all jaundiced.
Yeah. We'll get over it.
Yeah, we'll get over it. Just a little antibiotic. At least I'm not coughing tonight. That TB's clearing up. But thanks for having us on and allowing us to take 40 minutes of your time, or 44 minutes of your time tonight. We love sharing about Parkinson's, and having you support us gives us an extended family. I want to say thank you to everybody that came on to view tonight. We're a little bit back from the screen, so it's kind of hard for us to see it. But you just don't know how much you mean to us. I want to say thank you to EMS and fire. That was some parking.
Yeah. See, speaking parking already.
EMS and fire law enforcement. Don't forget our soldiers and sailors, Marines, our coasties, and our airmen serving abroad to give us this great freedom. Let's put all this hate aside that we're seeing and in our country, and let's remember who gave us the freedom, who protects our freedom and all the freedoms that we have. And I'd like to thank the researchers, the folks who are spending many hours trying to find a cure or at least a slowdown or a progression. And we'd love to be part of a study group. We're all about experiment. So you folks that are in that community, here we are. We'll do it, whatever we got to do. Bobby, thanks again. Special thanks to the caregivers tonight. What do you think there, Darryl?
Absolutely.
Love you, Marianne. Love Beth. Love you, Penny, Becky, Chuck, everybody in our group, our doctors that are with us. Just thank you so much. Love everybody. Y'all take care, and always remember, embrace
the
shake. All right, y'all take care now. Oh, man. There we go. We're still with you.